Very sad. And we're live.
I thought Alpaca was the
weather guy on the Today Show.
No, I thought he was like in that cannibal thing where the plane crashed. But
yeah, that's that guy. All right, search for your link.
I'll tell you, that shirt looks kind of smart. This blue shirt, doesn't it?
Oh, it's good. It's an excellent color. It's what America demands.
But of course, if I showed you what the insignia was on it, you'd get annoyed.
So, it's another radio station?
It's not radio. No, it's not. But it is 2007 something. Okay. All right. It's the 2007 Jewish Festival.
Oh, I remember that well.
Yeah. It was a lot better than the 2009 and the 11. The 11 was really.
I believe that's when you and Dr. Hyman sat in a car and listened to the end of the Panthers game in 2007. It was a last-minute win by the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, they were playing that other team.
The other team, that's correct. The Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah. All right, ready?
Ready.
Let me click on my thing.
Mm-hmm.
It is the Brad and Britt cast. It is our first one for this week. Thank you for joining us. And there are, I know, a lot of stories that are too stupid to talk about. Some that aren't, and some that are kind of in the middle, half stupid. But we will get to all of them. We'll do a lightning round even, maybe. Maybe we need to start doing that, where we run a little timer and say, all right, we've got 45 seconds to do this. Because, our big problem, I think, if I could do some self-criticism here, is we try to jump around, and then sometimes we get bogged down in the muck so bad that we go for 15 minutes on something that really deserved 15 seconds. And I'm guilty of it. You're guilty of it.
That's correct. That's correct.
We do have collective guilt here on that. So I think we should be even more disciplined than we have been, which means we won't be.
We'll try. We're really going to, the old college try.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what? I know you care about this, and I guess I kind of do too. I have to admit it. Because after we got done with the Brad and Britt cast on Thursday last week, the announcement came forward that the Cleveland Indians would become the Cleveland Guardians. And of course, I was not familiar with why they would choose that name. It seemed generic, neutral, irrelevant. Not right. And then after about 30 seconds of reading, because that's about how long it takes to find these things out, you realize that there was some thought given to why they chose that name. And it's because right outside the stadium at a major highway that runs by, there are these two gigantic, ornate Art Deco statues that are the guardians of the traffic of Cleveland, which, as someone who lived there, I had no idea, because I didn't drive. I moved out of there when I was a young teenager, so I didn't drive down there. Right. But the point is, there was some thought given to it. And instead of using a name like I think Spiders was one of the favorites.
The Rockers, the Blues, all of these things.
Exactly. And I actually believe the management when they said, we didn't want to do anything that would get us into a copyright fight. Okay, so almost anything gets you into a copyright fight. And if you're Major League Baseball, you probably win that. But they said, all right, we wanted to stay away from that. And okay, so on we go. And, the more I thought about it, it's really not just a bad name unto itself. Guardians is a regal, strong thing, but it's not ethnic. It's not obnoxious. It's not in your face. And of course, the bottom line is it's about Cleveland. It's not about the nickname. The New York Yankees are not the New York Yankees because they're called it's because they're New York. That's what they're all about.
Right.
And I think you could say that for anything. So, of course, how long did it take Assface McGee out of West Palm Beach and Bedminster, New Jersey, to jump in and declare culture war over this name? The Indians are the greatest team. They're a fantastic franchise. Wonderful people. The great history.
God.
How could they do this? They're taking away our country. And of course, fuck you. Just fuck you on that. He knows nothing. He is nothing. And then rattling around in the back of my mind, Britt, was the fact that Donald Trump tried to buy the Cleveland Indians many, many years ago in 1983.
Oh, God.
Right? Now just try to follow this here, because remember, everything is a grudge and a grievance with him. Okay, even if people don't realize it when he's talking. And I can guarantee you the number of people right now who know that, who are listening to us or watching us, is zero. They have no idea Trump tried to buy the Cleveland Indians. In fact, nationally, or even in Cleveland, if you did a survey, most people would have no memory of it because it happened so long ago, almost 40 years ago.
This would have been in the midst of his incredible, successful ownership of that USFL franchise, the Generals.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I wanted to have the timeline perfect on this. The USFL did not blow up until 3 years later. Okay.
Correct.
So that was back when he thought he was going to be king of the world.
At his behest, by the way. He was the one who blew up the USFL.
Right. But in 1983, he sends a letter, an offer of $13 million. It does sound just like Austin Powers, right? $13 million.
Million dollars, yes.
Right, for a baseball team. And the then current ownership was not interested in talking to Trump, and Trump was going to move the team. That was his goal. He wanted to buy them and move them to Tampa. Okay.
This was an era when every team that sucked ass was going to move to Tampa, St. Pete.
Everybody was going to Tampa.
The White Sox were going to, the San Francisco Giants. It was always threatened that some team was going to move to Tampa, St. Pete. You're right.
Right. So the only guarantee that Trump would have given, had he been allowed to buy the team, was that he would keep the team in Cleveland for all of 3 years before he moved them, which, if you can imagine, if that would have happened, it would have been just disastrous, because then, 10 years later, the Browns moved in 96. So Cleveland would have, nothing left except a broken down NBA basketball team. Okay. But the fact that Trump was spurned by the management on both ends, the people that owned the team, and then the people that they eventually sold it to, who made comments about Trump. Here it is, all these years later, almost 40 years later, and he's pretending that he is the biggest Cleveland Indians fan in the history of the world.
Sure.
The name means so much to him. You know what? This isn't too stupid to talk about, because you have to get the motive behind everything he does. It's always in bad faith. It's always a wedge issue. It's always divisive. It never, ever, ever stops. And this is just the latest one, although we've had some since then. He attacked LeBron James over the weekend because, well, LeBron is fairly sympathetic to women's sports and is a forward-looking, decent person. And Donald Trump said maybe he needs to get a sex change operation because he's really a woman. LeBron James, not very manly. My theory is that because Tom Brady kicked his ass, was that on Wednesday?
I think it was a Wednesday.
Right? Wednesday. So we are almost a week late. Trump has had nothing to say about that. Why? Because he knows who's the king of this particular discussion. It's Tom Brady. Tom Brady won. It's over.
It killed him. That was
killed him.
publicly like one of the biggest embarrassments Donald Trump's ever suffered publicly.
Right. He shut him up. Trump was shut up by Tom Brady with a great joke. Two of them, actually.
His alleged friend, his alleged buddy.
Right. Alleged. So what does Trump do? Over the weekend, in front of a crowd, where was he, in Arizona?
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't go after Tom Brady, because usually he never lets a slight go unanswered, right? Never. But he does in this case. But he goes after LeBron James. Now, just off the top of your head, Britt, what would be the most obvious difference between two people who are superstars, Hall of Famers at the top of their sports, LeBron James and Tom Brady? Can you think of a difference between the two of them, or just off the top of your head?
Tom Brady went to college, and LeBron James just went straight from high school into the pros.
Okay,
I think
keep going.
Tom Brady has 7 championships. LeBron James, I think, only has 4. He's got 4.
Keep going. So try another. How about Tom Brady is on he on his first marriage or second? He didn't.
It's his second. Yeah. Well, it's true. He got two baby mamas, but only one marriage.
Right. LeBron James won.
Just one. That's correct.
But does anything jump out at you? Oh, just from looking at the two of them, that might make a difference in the way Donald Trump.
I think one has darker skin pigmentation than the other one.
I think that would be the first.
I think that's we did the rule of 4s instead of 3s on that one. So
yeah. You can try to pry it out of me, but I will not stop believing that's what that was all about this weekend.
Oh no, I'll fight you tooth and nail on. Are you? Yeah, I mean, come on, serious. And also, let's be clear when he's talking about LeBron James getting a sex change operation he's calling him a fag. That's essentially what's happened.
Right.
And this is a 4th grade slam of calling someone gay, one by any other name. I'm sorry. If that's a mystery to anyone, I don't think it is, who's watching this or listening to this. I don't think that's a surprise, but that's not how it's been reported. It's essentially a homophobic slur against somebody. You're calling them, quote unquote, less than a man. You're not as good as a man. You don't like women. You all of those things.
Hey, the funny thing is, it's not funny.
No.
But of all the people to pick,
course,
to go after,
of course,
I mean, we could name other people that are famous that Donald Trump might know, that he was going to run through folks that he could homophobically slur, like a certain senator from South Carolina would come to mind.
Tim Scott. Why would you pick on Tim Scott? I don't understand what you're saying.
You're right. That would be racist if he did that. Good. You really zeroed in on that one.
I'm really at it today.
Yeah. Okay. So now let's discipline ourselves and not do another 15 minutes on this, because we get the point. We get the point. He's a piece of shit. Now, what would you like to do? Would you like to do the Tucker Carlson confrontation story? Would you?
Yeah, let's absolutely go to Montana, where Tucker Carlson was accosted by an awful liberal. Go ahead with that story if you got that.
Okay. Well,
there.
The word accosted, not to be confused with CNN reporter and anchor Jim Acosta. I guess Tucker Carlson is in a fishing store, a bait shop or something like that, an outdoors store in Montana, with his kid, and a guy walks right up to him, just gets right in his face. He isn't screaming at him, but he is very close to him, and he's just saying right to Tucker Carlson. The guy's a big guy, taller than Tucker Carlson. He's saying, you're basically the worst human being to ever walk the earth. You're the worst human being known to man, for everything. And Tucker Carlson plays the "I'm with my kid," as if, number one, that gives you immunity, and number two, that what this man did in terms of confrontation, lack of violence, no physical threat. I'm just trying to weigh that against what, say happened in Washington, D.C. on January 6th that Tucker Carlson sees as a walk in the park. And the defending of Carlson on this, oh my God, I just saw that piece. All the women on The View said it was out of line for this guy to do this, that Tucker Carlson, he deserves some space when he's in public. How this guy, what's his name? Bailey, his last name Bailey. He did the absolute bare minimum that you should do, I believe, when you see a public figure like that who is abhorrent, who is responsible for God knows how many deaths from people listening to him and not getting vaccinated. I mean, it's not even close. And to suddenly close ranks around Tucker Carlson, the guy who said to people, what, about 3 weeks ago, if you see a parent making their kid wear a mask, you should call the cops because they're abusing that child. If you think for 1 second that Tucker Carlson should be able to mingle in public and not be spoken to by God, this man spoke to him. He used words. He didn't threaten him. He didn't pull a gun on him. Okay. He didn't cough on him and said, I don't have a shot either. So I guess you do. You know, he didn't do anything stupid like that. Not one thing. Yet people are, I guess, in some degree, but not all, are rallying around the right of a celebrity, if you want to call him a celebrity, and I don't. He's not a celebrity, okay? He's a borderline criminal. He's a thug, right? He's a danger to the country. I just think that what happened is something that you would think would happen. You would think that after what Tucker Carlson has been doing for years and years, and now climaxing on what he's doing on TV with the coronavirus, the least that could happen to him is when he's in a fishing shop in Montana, somebody walks up to him and tells him he sucks. Wow, that is so mean. I saw the story. One of these women on The View, was it John McCain's daughter? When the fuck is she going to leave that show? I'm sick of all the stories that
she threatens to go, and then
I thought she said she's leaving. You know what? If you're leaving a job, get the fuck out of there. Don't do this. I'm going to stay there. Just go. But I think she's the one. She's the one that said, "Don't scream at someone in their face. Send them a tweet." That's how we do. No,
send them a tweet.
That's exactly the opposite of the way the world is right. It should be right now, which is we don't talk to anyone. We don't confront anyone. We don't see anyone. We're not in a room with anyone. We do everything visually. We do everything virtually. And social media is the currency of the realm. No. If he wants to go out in the world, then it's a dangerous, nasty world out there for millions of people every day. People get shot. People get sick. People get hurt. People get knifed. People get beaten up. People lose their jobs. People starve. People have to wait in line to vote. All these kind of tough things happen to people. You're in a fucking bait shop and a guy talked to you. You were not accosted. You were not threatened. There was nothing that happened to you. Now, I would expect, and I have not been watching Fox at all today, I would assume they're quiet about the issue, and it'll be interesting to see whether Tucker Carlson really plays the victim card, I'm, oh my God, what happened to civility in this country card, every kind of hypocritical projection bullshit defense of himself in that moment. And for all we know, he'll put out the home phone number and address of this guy, so that he is attacked and destroyed, and his family is harassed. I mean,
I know that.
What do you think's going to happen? What do you think's going to happen?
I know that Don Jr. stopped doing coke long enough to put out an angry tweet calling the guy out and saying stuff, and he got dragged for it and got killed for it. I'm not sure. It again becomes such a divisive issue where those on the right think it was like Tucker Carlson was raped in a bait shop, and folks on the left are like, the guy came up to him, got in his face, and then the guy, Tucker couldn't handle it. He nearly wet his pants. So it's that sort of thing. And as you say, it seems like when America was great, if you will, and when we had founding fathers, they would go up and sir, I disagree with what you did at the blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And that seems to me to be kind of a throwback thing, what the guy did. That's what it seems like to me is the guy, sir, I completely disagree with the way that you carried yourself about at the state legislature the other day. And then they would part company and that was it.
Mr. Carlson, I respectfully disagree with your point of view as it relates to the efficacy of the coronavirus and the obligation of citizens to take it. Thank you for your opinion each night. You've helped enlighten the country. Thank you. And I hope you catch a lot of fish today.
That's correct.
It doesn't work that way.
No, that's not how we do things at all. And I just, again, the idea that his poor children would have been scarred. I mean, I think at this point, I don't know how old they are, but they kind of have figured out their dad's an asshole. And that happens from time to time, and they're afforded a pretty nice lifestyle from their dad being an asshole. They would have been anyway because he and his family have sold a lot of frozen spaghetti and lasagna, so they would be fine either way.
All right, okay, done.
Enough of that topic.
All right, now since we're gonna stay slightly inside baseball here, let's go with Phil Valentine.
Phil Valentine is something we've discussed all weekend privately. Let's bring it to the Brad and Britt cast.
So, Britt, you and I, since we were in the radio business for many, many decades, both of us, we got to know either personally or certainly by reputation, or we would meet occasionally at conventions, certain people in radio. And one of those people, and I think I met him once or twice, just glancing, didn't have any real conversation with him, was this guy, Phil Valentine. And you tell me whether I'm wrong in my impression of this. He was an early Rush Limbaugh wannabe. All
100%
right?
correct. 100% on the money.
He staked out the territory of Tennessee as his local playground where he was going to be that guy in that state. And for a while, he had some success. He gained affiliates. He got syndicated through that.
He wrote a few books too. He would make some appearances. He would make a few appearances on the shows, on the cable shows and stuff.
Yeah. He was there, and but he stuck to the total right wing talk show host. Here's how I'm going to make a living. I don't even know whether he believes it or not, but that's how he was. And that we knew a million guys who did that. We don't know what they really thought about things, but it was really easy to go along with the Limbaugh template on a local basis.
Which was, after a while, it was Clinton is terrible and awful and dragging America down. Then it was
Obama was the end of the world.
Obama was a socialist bastard who may not have even been born here. And then of course
Obamacare.
Trump is the greatest, and why are they attacking? It's just the same shit.
All right. So all these years pass. We're here enjoying our lives, moving on.
Yeah.
And what about 4 days ago? Suddenly, the story breaks, and finally, Phil Valentine gets the national recognition he so craved all these years, but not for the reason that he wanted. And it turns out that he is very, very sick in the hospital with COVID, and it's been that way for a couple of weeks. And as you and I both know, we all know, people who are in the hospital that long, especially now because of the variant, the Delta version of the coronavirus, it's a touchy situation. They go out of their way to say that he has not been on a ventilator, but I don't know whether that's a deciding factor in that, he has whatever percentage chance to recover. But the fact is that for the last year and a half, he's been one of those guys. He's been playing fast and loose and cute with people resisting getting the coronavirus vaccine. He's been in that camp. He played fast and loose with the facts. Now, I think you believe, and I know I believe, that 99% of people in the media who have been pushing the most erroneous information about the virus, about the vaccine, about the motives of people who develop the vaccine, about the politicians who say go get a shot, about the doctors who all say get a shot, that you believe that almost to a T, every one of them is vaccinated and that they're full of shit. right?
Mm-hmm.
And they are telling people to do things that they themselves would not do. But it turns out in the case of Phil Valentine, we got one. We got a guy who, in wrestling parlance, was living the gimmick. He was not vaccinated. And so he's fighting for his life in the hospital with coronavirus. And of course, we don't wish anyone specifically to get the coronavirus and die. Although in the case of Limbaugh, other factors took care of it, so it didn't have to happen that he caught it. And Britt, I am not going to say I hope they didn't waste a vaccine on Phil Valentine, because clearly he didn't get one. He really did not get one. He and he's 61, so he's not a kid.
No.
So he made the conscious decision to not get vaccinated, and here he is fighting for his life, and it's too bad. And as we've been talking about for a long time now, we really need really famous people to get it and die. We needed more famous people. We needed actual politicians to get killed on January 6th to draw a more bright line that could not be fuzzed by people like Donald Trump and people like Kevin McCarthy and the entire Republican Party. And because it was only cops, right, or Ashley Babbitt who died, they're playing this game. So to me, this is very, very similar to that. And these people with, and I don't want to use the phrase deathbed confessions here, but Phil Valentine is right in there. And you've probably seen the video all weekend of several people around the country who are laying in bed right now on ventilators or near death, who are very regretful that they didn't get vaccinated. And I feel bad for them. But
well, again, not to get off on a tangent, but this story that we
first got to,
first got to last week about there is a certain segment of America that feels like you can get sick, get in the hospital, and then get the vaccine and it'll cure you. And I don't know what.
But that's a special category of stupid.
I don't know what, but it exists.
A special category.
It's part of the problem. It's significant. I don't know if it's 20%, 30%, what percent, but and you're hearing it time and again, these stories of these people and these doctors
getting vaccinated fast,
which is like saying, "Hey, I got syphilis. Let me grab a condom." That's not how this works at all. But there are a number of people who feel like that would happen. Now, the original reportage of the Phil Valentine story, it kind of soft pedaled his, I think his view. Well, he wasn't anti-vax. He just wasn't like really pro-vax. But then as the story matriculated, they went into some very granular detail about what a dick this guy had actually been, even back in June, playing a song called Vax Man, ha 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 ha, to the tune of Tax Man, as a way of mocking all of these things. So he was a little more into it than was originally reported. And now the story has become, he put out a tweet or a statement that said, "Oh, I'm sorry for the haters. Look, I am going to get better." Because that is the story. That is the story here, the people wishing him hate, not the fact that he was resistant, may have killed a bunch of people, and was the poster child in Nashville for not getting vaccinated. And now his family is saying, "Hey, please go get the vaccine before you get this, because Phil is very, very sick." So yeah, the original reporting on this kind of soft pedaled how much of a dick he'd been about this whole situation. That would be my point.
Yeah. We wish him well, but honest to God, it's really horrible.
Well, if this saves a life,
facing in this country with people who
it's unbelievable what's going on.
Unspeakable.
And that gives me some entree to talk about a podcast that I have heard, the Making Sense podcast with Sam Harris, which goes into details on this Britt Weinstein fellow. Are you familiar with him? Because he has made some appearances. He is one of the poster children on Fox News for some contrarianism regarding the virus. Have you ever heard that name, Britt Weinstein?
No, I'm still working through the Alex Berenson.
Britt Weinstein is a doctor of some sort, and he gained some he gained some cachet among right-wing folks for being fired from Evergreen State, or asked to leave from Evergreen State University up in Washington over a day where some minority folks would call off. It was like a layout day at the college to show the contribution of minority folks, and he objected to that, and therefore he became some sort of a hero to some folks on the right. Anyway, he has become, among the Joe Rogan crowd, a real hero. And he has been I think I want to get the name of this thing right. I think it is Intervectin. I believe it is have you heard of this as something that these folks are now? It's a medicine. It's their new hydroxychloroquine. It is an anti-parasitic that they're saying, God, if we would only get, man, if we could, that's the stuff you need to take. Don't worry about a vaccine. Get this Intervectin. And he's the poster child for this thing.
So
his brother,
so this is doubly dangerous because
yes,
he's pairing up a quack solution with an excuse for you to be more hesitant, more unlikely to get what could be arguably the greatest medical advance in short term in human history, that nothing has ever come along so quickly, albeit 20 years of research that went on before 2020. But as I was talking to Jane before, I said, if you remember a year ago, go back a year, and so we're in the summer, and there is no vaccine yet, and there's no inevitability of a vaccine, right? We're still thinking it could be a year or two away. And then when word started to creep out that shit, something big is happening, they're going to have an announcement, the thought was that this vaccine might be 70 or 80% effective, and everybody, wow, that's fantastic. The flu vaccine every year is maybe 50% in a good year, right? So the thing comes out and it's in the 90s, okay? It's in the 90s, Moderna and Pfizer, and then the Johnson & Johnson right behind it. And people, this is a medical miracle. So here we are a year later with Britt Weinstein. By the way, I went to camp with Sam Weinstein, Gary Weinstein, and Bobby Weinstein, the Weinstein brothers from Pittsburgh, whose father owned Giant Eagle supermarkets, which now I believe was bought out by Kroger. But was I digressing there for a moment?
Just a slight amount.
Just a bit. Okay.
I want to get the name of the medication crap. Ivermectin is the name of this crap.
Yes, get it out. It's very important because a lot of people want to write it down so they can go get it.
I'll put a link to the podcast for those of you that are listening on demand. But he's pushing this stuff. There's even more as far as the Weinsteins go. He has a brother. His brother, his name is Eric Weinstein. This will be of interest to you. Eric Weinstein is one of the big muckety mucks at Thiel Capital. Peter Thiel's, yeah. So
it's all one group of right-wing whack jobs.
It is, and he's again among the Joe Rogan and even the Tucker Carlson's had this guy on to talk about ivermectin. So why isn't the medical community talking about this and all this horse shit?
Right, but this is the problem. This is the problem. Yes, Joe Biden, Facebook kills people. And yes, people get killed because they read shit on Facebook and believe it. And they get all their news from Facebook. And that's 100% true. There's no doubt about it. But what you just described is this interlocking group of skeptics and charlatans and fraudsters and people who have an outsized ability to get any message out. And when the message is as destructive to a lot of people, and I want to use the word vulnerable, but I guess we have to do it this way, to people who are vulnerable to messaging that is just not in their interest. And I guess, all of us elites, we elites who are vaccinated,
elites.
There's not one person who got vaccinated, right, that didn't go through the same experience where no matter what you did to get in line or sign up or wait 5 hours at a big site to do it, when that shot goes into you, you get a feeling that you can't believe, because you go, holy shit, this is great. This is fantastic. And you know what? I really didn't have to work very hard. I just had to roll up my sleeve, and a professional person put it in. And then 3 weeks later, you got the second one. And when you think that so many people, let's name a name, Phil Valentine, someone like that,
somebody like that, just off the top of your head, yeah,
who could have done the same thing that we all did,
yeah,
but he chose affirmatively not to. We don't want to say, well, that you get what you deserve. You made we don't want to have to go there, even if we're thinking it. But there's a line, and that governor, Kay Ivey of Alabama, with what may be the soundbite of the year.
Yeah.
Where, and by the way, she was everybody's seen it and heard it by now, where she just said, I don't know what the fuck to do anymore. These people are nuts.
You got to you got to blame the unvaccinated folks.
Yeah, blaming the unvaccinated. You're fucking it up.
It should be noted, Kay Ivey's an idiot.
Right.
There's a great track record of being a moron, but she was left with no other conclusion than the obvious one, which is the unvaccinated people are the problem.
Right. And so she's totally right about that. And she had the perfect profile to be that person to say that. An old lady with gray hair who's got common sense like your grandma does. Grandma knew how to solve. So, because had it been a Roy Cooper, can you imagine if Roy Cooper, the governor of North Carolina,
Lord,
would come out and say, God damn it, it's the fucking unvaccinated morons who are doing this to us, it would be the end of his career, right? That would be it. He could not come back from it, even if this is what they talk about when they're behind closed doors and they don't have a podcast like we do.
I can't tell the truth.
Where we can say it with no consequences. But I don't know how you cut through this, especially when you have this dedicated industry out there to try to gum up the works, and they're doing a heck of a job.
I think this is the real pointed and fair criticism of the Biden administration, is that there was no concerted effort to counter the disinformation. I don't think, and again, who could have predicted it? I don't think I could have predicted that there would have been an industry, like, as you say, of people trying to put out complete bullshit. The Russians get involved. Everybody gets involved. I don't think there was a plan to effectively, from a central location, they're trying to do the best they can to work with some of the social media companies to say, you got to strike this stuff down there, because not only is it incorrect, it's also deadly. It's something that's anathema to public health. I don't know that the administration had a good way to counter the disinformation. Do you think that is a legitimate criticism of the Biden administration?
No,
you don't. You don't believe it?
No, I don't think this is beyond just an administration. This is here's the word. It is systemic at a level that, because we all now know, no number of politicians, esteemed medical professionals, celebrities saying all the things that you're saying that the Biden administration didn't do to counteract this. They're not listening. They don't want to hear it. No. They're not interested. And this started about 6 weeks ago, I think, or so. And I kind of joked about it, but when I started to hear the non-right-wing media adapt the language of Joe Biden failed to get 70% of Americans vaccinated. That was his goal, as if he had this magic wand that Joe Biden could get people vaccinated. I thought that was bad reporting. That was that was biased bullshit. That was right-wing spin.
It's lazy.
Okay? Yeah. Because I think what was it, like 55% at that point instead of 70, and yeah. Now is there anything over the last 6 or 7 months that could have been put out in the media that would have changed the minds of all these people who live in a information bubble, who, and by the way, many of them are truly not able. It seems impossible to believe, but I believe they're not actually able to get vaccinated because they are isolated. They are not, it's tough to reach everybody at once. Although, I don't know, when it comes time to do certain things, Americans sure can get motivated and do it very, very quickly. But I don't think this is an administration thing. And the opposite of the coin is, like we've said. Well, okay, so how many people percentage-wise would be vaccinated if Trump was president? You think right?
Well,
okay,
I mean,
so,
it's also a fair discussion. Like if he was president, would he be, since he's the guy and he can get credit for it, would he be encouraging people to get vaccinated?
No, because that's the brand. The brand has been the same all the way through,
right?
Because
he did it in secret. He went out in the shadows and did it, and they told him 2 months later.
Yeah. Right, and the shot was available and was going to be available while he was still president. The groundwork was laid, and he never did anything. Never lifted a finger. So it's not even remotely possible to think that we wouldn't be significantly worse off.
Yeah.
Under here. Miss me yet? Yeah. Has he got those? They have those billboards up there with his picture somewhere. I guess there are some.
Speaking of which, we'll finish on this note. You saw this over the weekend, Biden hitting a new low in the Gallup poll. I think it's around 50%. Under normal circumstances, I would have expected a huge 3-alarm headline on Drudge saying shock poll. Even Drudge is not really hitting the alarm button on this one. And I think Gallup now says a majority of Americans are pessimistic about the short-term future of America, blah, 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 blah. What is your take on this story about Joe Biden's new quote-unquote low in the Gallup poll?
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. No, it doesn't. First of all, in the average of polls, he's higher than that. It's not the only poll.
Exactly.
And did he drop 6 points in the last month because he said Facebook kills people? No, people vote up and down in those polls based on how they're seeing the world around them, how they're seeing their own world. And if every day it's the Delta virus version is infecting more people, and your kids may have to wear masks in school, you take it out on the president, and he loses some support in polling. But that one's too.
That is too stupid for us to talk.
Stupid.
Well, the real clear politics, as you point out, does have him at least +9. Yeah. It's 52.5 to 43.5. Even when you factor all of those other things in, and it's still 50 to 45. He's still +5 in the Gallup poll, despite this cratering, if you will. So I don't know, but it's being, of course, it's being trumpeted in all the right quarters as America has become disenchanted with this man. He's really just doing an awful job now. That's what's being trumpeted.
Yeah. All right. Let's finish with some comedy here.
We'll do it.
Yeah. And I don't know how much Olympics you've watched. If I just may say, I discovered, and there's all these new sports, the skateboarding and all these other things, and they're pretty highly skilled things.
Sure.
Wow. But I have to admit, and I don't know whether this is a new sport this year or not, but I caught this morning. It wasn't on NBC. It was on USA, I think, or NBC Sports Network. This 3-on-3 basketball.
Yeah, that's new.
Oh my God, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That is the greatest shit ever. It's nonstop.
And
it's half court, just like you would play 3-on-3 with the other, except these people are really good. And it's great. I loved it.
It's a sport it's a basketball the Americans have a chance at winning. So this is the one we might win. So
God, that France game was dreadful. That was just the worst. Yeah. But the 3-on-3, I love the 3-on-3 basketball. That's great.
It is. It's very interesting. How long is it, do you think, before pickleball becomes an Olympic sport? I gotta say,
what isn't badminton already an Olympic sport?
yeah, badminton is.
Okay, so why not pickleball?
Pickleball has to become no. I think the 3-on-3 is fantastic. I saw this skateboarding, and I'm not the old guy on the porch. I thought that's interesting. I didn't understand it. I didn't get all of it, but I thought
right. You don't know all the rules yet, but it's
those are very talented athletes. I mean,
right,
and eventually you get down to will esports become Olympic sports?
All right. Did you see the story about the way South Korea broadcast the games? You know, everybody gets the same pictures, but you get to do your own, extra graphics and extra shit. So when the teams march out representing their countries, the South Koreans went all in. Okay, when they showed Ukraine, they showed Chernobyl. They showed a picture of Chernobyl. When they showed Italy, they showed a pizza. Okay. They did a whole bunch of these, just complete.
It says they showed in Romania. They showed a picture of Dracula. Is what they showed.
Yeah.
And I don't know when the United States came up, they showed a fat guy, but that would have been right on brand apparently for what South Korea is doing.
Dracula.
So yeah, this is there it is.
When it was Malaysia's turn, they showed the coronavirus vaccination rate along with their gross domestic product. Is that a put down?
What would you do?
Anyway, but you know what? In the lineup of politically incorrect, obnoxious things, it's almost funny.
Sure,
it's almost funny. Now, I don't have in this story here. I don't see what they did when the United States came. There's so many things.
Homer Simpson. They put Homer Simpson up there.
Right.
No,
yeah.
No, Disney would have immediately sued them out of existence. There is no more South Korea.
Right. I love that one.
That's a good one.
Yeah. All right. We'll see tomorrow with even more discipline than we exhibited today.
It was amazing. We got through so many things today. We'll see you guys.
Mm-hmm.